What's going on YouTube? It's Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com, and I'm here obviously with a special guest, a friend of mine. You know, if anybody I bring on here is gonna always be of tremendous value to you, my brother Chris LOOS. I first was introduced to him as a radio personality, as somebody that had so much experience within radio, and then as I start to become more and more cool with him, I started realizing that he is an advocate for young minds that need that education out there, and he's also someone who provides, you know, a lot of value for rappers and producers who are trying to get in the music industry, because who knows the music industry better than somebody who's actually been in it, and a very important aspect of it, which is radio. So my brother Chris LOOS, I mean, that was my brief introduction because you do so much, and I always feel like I'm gonna miss something, but please introduce yourself to the audience that is the Curtis King TV, because I'm sure they're excited to hear from you.
Yo, my name is Chris LOOS. You can catch me on the radio on Old School 104.7 in the Inland Empire, Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, Old School 93.5 in Antelope Valley. Plus, I'm also doing stuff with young people via the I Dream Society, the Youth Mentoring Action Network.
My introduction to you was, you know, people would be whispering when you walk in the room, because it was like, man, that's the guy that work at the radio station, man. Like they had, you know, those rapper voices when you want a favor, you know, so you start like, man, you don't go talk to him, man. I was gonna say something. So, what's going on, Mr. LOOS? How you doing? Like, hear my demo. I didn't do that, thankfully, but I know my introduction to you was, you know, your involvement in radio. And so what I wanted to start this conversation off on was, I know a lot of, you know, rappers and more so rappers, not producers, want to know how relevant is radio today, do you think, to a up and coming rapper's career? Obviously things have changed. There's a lot of things have transitioned to different places. How important do you think radio is to a rapper today?
I'm gonna tell you, from being in radio now 20 plus years, like I said, now I'm on the old school brand, so it's kind of fun playing 80s music,
right?
90s. But for any young artist now, it's a different day in radio. You've got to understand that. And I'll say this, understand that you don't need it.
Oh, wow.
You don't need it anymore to be successful.
Right.
If you want to be on the radio, you need to get on the radio. Then that's your goal, to get on the radio. But to succeed, it's not necessary.
Right. I mean, and obviously now when we talk about radio, you know, some people don't even realize that there's different levels of radio, even just within the mainstream radio, the top 40 urban, these different sections, subsections of radio. You know, when it comes to internet radio, you know, how can I put this? How important do you think internet radio is? Do you think it's more important now for a rapper, or is it the same thing that it's always been?
I don't think it's more important. Okay. I think it's all just as important. If that internet station has a stupid big buzz and a great audience, right, it's a great look for you to be on there. I think there were certain college stations that used to just pop, and they had like a cult following. And if you popped onto, like, it was like KUCR at one point back in the day was like it. I was at KPCC in Pasadena. Like, there's those certain college stations that'll pop, and you might have better success doing a show or growing your social or anything, rocking with something like that.
Right.
So I think it's all just, where's the attention, whose ears are on this station versus that versus this, and if that works for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, what would you say to somebody who says, look, I understand what you're saying about the level of importance has changed, but, you know, some people just have it on their bucket list. I want to be on the radio. I want to hear. I mean, I remember the feeling, you know, one of my first times being on radio was actually on a station that you were working on. You know, they played a song of mine called PCC, and I remember just being able to sit in there like, yo, people are in their cars right now listening to this, you know, and to know that even existed was a huge accomplishment for me. How would you say the best way for a rapper these days, how should they approach being on radio, if that's what they desire to be? What level of radio, and the second part of that is, what level of radio should they approach first?
Initially, before maybe even radio, if you want to get your song check, the hot check, if you would, I would suggest getting to a club, finding DJs that just mix in clubs. If it bangs in the club, cool. If you're talking about like an R&B, something that doesn't really fit in the club, then I would go more the college radio route, anyone with the internet show.
Right.
Go work that angle. Because that's the other thing too, is like, you know, as an artist, it's like sometimes you think, oh, this is the one.
Yeah. Just because you and your boys are like, yeah, this is the one.
And then
it's gotta be
the one, you know, and that doesn't happen to be the case. The DJs are feeling this other one.
Right.
But in your head, you were like, yo, you had the video already planned. You had X, Y, and Z ready to go.
Right.
I would start as soon as you can and you're feeling good about something, check it out with those little sources that you can.
Well, that leads me to ask you another question, because I'm sure that you said 20 years of experience, which is that's a beautiful blessing to be into something that, you know, that you wanted to be involved in. I'm sure that you have developed an instinct for knowing, yo, this song is about to have some feet on it.
Yeah.
What would you say are, let's say, 5 things? What would you say are 5 things that you initially hear from a song? Because some people maybe, you know, they think they got that one, but it could be something as small as the BPMs, you know, are way too slow for traditional radio to play them. What would you say are 5 things that you initially listen to and you kind of are triggers for you to say, yo, this might be something that's going to be successful for a song?
For a song to be successful on the radio, first thing, it's got to have some type of hook, melody. It's got to sound aesthetically pleasing. So that's kind of first off top.
Which includes mixing and mastering, I'm sure.
And that, okay.
So also, just in case they were like, oh, so if it sound good to me, then that means it's written. No, that's not what that means.
Yeah, not in just your earbuds.
Take it back to the drawing board.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, I distracted.
No,
2.
that's 100% right. So that would be the first. The second is like, what is this content in the song? You've heard what's on the radio now. You can get away with a whole lot.
Right.
But I think to be able to say Molly Percocet on a record, you have to be a certain level artist.
Right. You can't come out the gate with that. Right.
Bad idea. So think about that content as you come out first. Third would be, like, I don't even think there's a top 5 for the radio, because
we can limit it to wherever
it's got to melodically be there.
If it has those strong points, I'm sure there's things that you hear and you're like, initially you listen to a song and you're like, oh yeah, that's going.
Yeah,
and maybe it's something that's a feeling is much more than just, I guess, a top 5 list. But yeah,
because there's the other part too, to where I could say BPM, but then that all gets annihilated if that record is just dope.
Kind of in addition to that, do you think that, you know, how much of an influence do you think that the internet's presence or the internet's sort of word of mouth on a song has now on traditional radio?
Everything.
Really?
Yeah, okay. Like if you can influence that way, I'm trying to think like Janae Aiko. She was just heavy influence online, buzzing, and radio was just like, yo, who is this?
Right.
Had to do it.
Right.
So that I do think, that's why I kind of say, like, you don't need radio to be successful. I think radio at some point is going to validate your success. And because they want to be a part of something dope.
Right. It almost sounds like the same role that I guess a Grammy plays. Like there's so many successful artists, or even in athletes or in like sports. You know, there's so many athletes that are the 50 greatest players that have not won rings before. You know, the Karl Malones or the John Stocktons, they're no less great than what they are because they don't have that piece of jury. But that jury does validate their journey and what they've done. So that's important. So, you know, when it comes to that internet buzz, you know, what do you think? So say an artist says, okay, I got to get my internet stuff in order. What type of metrics should they be paying attention to so that they can one day present it to somebody who's in your position and say, look, based upon these particular metrics, I feel like this will be good for your station. What would you say are some of the metrics they should be paying attention to?
I think take advantage of your direct connect via your cell phone, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snap, whatever. If there's a station that you're looking at and you're like, man, I know my city, this is the station they rock with, this is who I need to get it to DJ so-and-so. You need to be following them on something or all of their social medias. So at this point, as your internet buzz kind of starts to grow, okay, cool, you got this little blog site to do a write-up about you.
Right.
You need to have a rapport with that DJ or with that personality to where you can say, hey man, check this out. They wrote up da 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 da. You know, can I bring it to you and play it for you? Bring it to them. Don't email it to them. Bring it to them. Sit down with them. Maybe bring some donuts, some pizza. Find out what they like.
That doesn't fall in the category of payola, does it?
Nah, you can offer it.
I'm playing. I got these donuts.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
You know, but it's really about showing the appreciation of the time that they're giving you to sit there and physically listen.
Well, then I ask you this, you know, how do you think, and this is really just a general conversation, not necessarily just rapper to DJ, but we're going to preface it as that, you know, what do you think is the best way to approach somebody that you want to have a relationship with who doesn't know who you are? What's the best way to approach it and to, you know, keep that contact warm and nurturing? If somebody's coming up to you, what would you say is the best way for them to approach you? I mean, you're obviously different from a lot of folks in the industry, but
I definitely hear most people out that do approach. I'm just more inclined to listen to somebody who's like, hey, if you have a moment.
Gives you the option.
Don't give me the, you gotta hear this.
Yeah,
this is fire. Everybody told me this is the joint.
Right.
You're crazy for not playing this.
Yeah.
Why aren't you playing? Don't
be that person. Yeah, don't
peel all that back. Come in. Kendrick said it, man. Just be humble.
Yeah.
Humble in your approach. Like it's so amazing how far that's gonna go for you. You'd be surprised. Like,
unless your name is Roscoe the Taco.
Unless you
every rule. Let it be known. That's the exception to every rule. It's Roscoe the Taco. Which I appreciate you even giving me the opportunity to do my Roscoe the Taco skit on there because, you know, I think that one, among all the different skits that I did, that one was probably the most educational because some of the things that I did, it's funny, when we did if you didn't know, you know, me and Chris Lowe's did a video together where, you know, I was acting like I was Roscoe the Taco, you know, everybody's unfavorite rapper who just does all the wrong things, right? And so in this video, I'm basically approaching him with the record and I do all the bad things. Like I have a CDR with no label on it. It's scratched up. I got to search for it. I'm not ready. I'm not professional. I'm drinking my drink. I'm combing my hair. I'm wasting his time. I'm telling him how the song is like, it needs to be played between Justin Bieber and like Childish, whatever. I'm giving examples, but you know, it was an educational tool because he was showing you like, look, I'm one of the nice guys in this industry right now that, you know, I'm at least giving Roscoe Taco the time of the day. But everybody else ain't gonna be like this. And I'm sure even in real life, you know, it's a lot different. But, you know, really take heed to that is that, you know, yes, there's not one universal way to approach folks within the industry, just people in general. But you wanna make sure that when you're approaching people, you know, treat it as if it's somebody approaching you. You know, would you ask yourself, would you want somebody to approach you with the same level of aggression and the same level of almost thirst sometimes that you approaching somebody that's in the industry? Would you want that? If you wouldn't want that, you should probably rechange your approach and then take heed to some of the things that he's saying. So, you know, obviously we got into the conversation about the radio and I want to make sure that we talk about your program as well and the things that you're working on with that, with the Summertime Hustle. I'm sure there's folks out there right now that, you know, could really benefit from what your program offers. Would you please break that down for these folks and let them know what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, so this was like the Summer Money campaign we did where it was just basically offering 9 ways you can instantly go out and make some money. This is for like, you ain't got nothing. I just got time and I think a couple of them required your phone. That was it. So doing stuff like that, man, I've just been really fortunate to do what I love for this long.
Right.
And I just feel like that's the illest blessing for me, not being the college dude or not being the traditional career cat, you know what I mean?
Right,
I've seen a lot of people that had gigs in radio that don't anymore, you know.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of artists come and go, and I've seen a lot of artists come and just pop, you know. And so I think the journey of it all has just helped me so much more have fun in what I'm doing. The I Dream Society, we're gonna be doing a couple of workshops with Apple in 2018.
Could you speak on that with the I Dream Society? What is
correct?
What is it?
So the I Dream Society was really just a thought in my head of like, look, man, you got a dream. How do you make that pop? And finding that support group, if you would. So it's really a lot of different collective people that have careers in a non-traditional space. You know, people like Dion Monique, who's done music and film, and Bam, who's done radio, and you know what I mean. So you've got all these different people that do great things and fun. They do what they love. They do what their dream was. And I think it's important, man. Like now with technology, it's giving you that fast forward past a lot of stuff. You can look things up online that can help you instantly make money. That wasn't available to me at any time as a teenager. So it's just a different space, and I enjoy being a part of it. Apple. So what we did with that was we basically brought young people in to show them how Final Cut works, how Logic works. They get to learn sound. It was bringing in STEM and showing them the sonic.
What age group were we talking about?
So this was high school.
High school, okay.
High school. I think we had a couple that were a little bit younger, but it was high school. And then they also created content for Polly, who's Adam Levine's artist that just put out her project. But they got to actually create the content for her social media.
That's crazy.
With her video stuff. And they performed with her at the finale.
Wow. And that's stuff that I know that when I came up, I didn't have the access to. And I hope that you're listening, that there's so many opportunities, especially for, you know, those of you who are out here. I made a video this last week that was, you know, how to promote your music when you're flat broke. You know, I always say that, you know, that video went off too because people were like, yo, I'm flat broke right now. But, you know, like I say in that is that it's never a problem of how many resources you have. It's how resourceful you are, what you do have, you know. And so there's opportunity out here for you to be making money, especially, I mean, I know the summer's coming to an end, but there's opportunity for you to be making money even throughout the year, to where if you get your mindset in that early, you know, no matter how old you are, you get your mindset in that early, you better prepare yourself and equip yourself for when that time, the real deal comes, you'll be already prepared and ahead of your peers. You know, where can they find those, is that something that you were offering to the public, the 9 things that they can do? Or
so well, the Summer Money campaign, that's going to come back around next year. We're going to change that up. But the Digital Dreamers Academy, if you're interested, if you have a young person interested, definitely hit me up. It will be happening twice next year. So it's a 5-week workshop. And we really just want to rock with, it was 20 to 22 kids. Like, we want the hungry kids.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't want all the kids. You want the hungry kids.
It's just what it is. You know, we'll do what we got to do to try to get them there. So, Chris LOOS Media, you can find me on Instagram, Snap, everywhere. It's right there. But I'd love for them to get in there, because just being a part of it, Kurt, seeing like them kids light up, and just being like, oh, I could make. And then they get to touching it and doing it. And I mean, you playing music off of Rolly blocks. They're playing strings off of the Rollies. They got 5 keyboards set up, and I'm like, hold on, man. I'm so lucky. I'm doing the workshop, but I'm learning about all this from these kids now. Like, this is.
I would have killed to have the opportunity to do that when I was coming up. That being said, to kind of leave us in this conversation, which I'm sure can go on forever, what would you say is your advice, your general advice for young rappers and producers, and even older rappers and producers? What would you kind of give them advice on, you know, in this day and time to find success?
Yeah, I would say first, just know why you're doing it. If it's for money, know that, and know that you've got a longer road traveled if you're doing this for money. Because once you know why you're doing it, it'll all kind of start to make sense. Like, I love it. I'm going to do this. I want to do this regardless of the money. You'll be cool. If you're doing it for money, then you have to understand that also. And don't get upset. Don't get mad. You're going to get frustrated. But just really, really know that. And also, too, know that we were kind of talking about presenting yourself. As you present yourself, you've got to understand, like, I used to take music meetings with independent artists to allow them to present their music.
Right.
And this dude came in. He wasn't Roscoe the Taco, but he must have been a distant cousin or something. He came in with the CD just like that, dropped it down there. I was like, all right, cool. What song is it? He was like, oh, I think it's track 13. Okay, pop it in. I'm gonna go to track. Now you got me working right here. I'm gonna go to track 13. It starts, hold on, man, it's track 17. Just go over a couple more. All right. Oh, this one is skipping. Oh, no. Go back. It's got to be like 12. This is the third one, and I can remember it was 3 times.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We didn't get to the song.
Yeah.
So I was like, so look, man, I'll take a listen, man.
You never even listened to the song.
Didn't listen to the song.
Wow. For people out there who are probably cringing with us, because you realize that certain people, like, you know, they don't live in major cities and these opportunities don't come to them all the time. For somebody to be there and to, you know, really not be as serious as what that circumstance requires them to be, it's hard to listen to stories like that. Even me, I'm cringing because I'm like, oh my God, you don't do that the first go around. And although, like, you know, let's be fair, mistakes do happen. You know, we're not all made to be perfect. These things happen. You know, Murphy's Law sometimes will come knocking on your door. But, you know, it's better for you to be as prepared as possible and just set yourself up for success. You know, people are more likely to help you when you're really you're trying to help yourself. Right. It looks like, I remember Chris Rock said, you know, people are more likely to help you. You know, if your car breaks down, people are more likely to help you if you're on the outside pushing it than if you're on the inside complaining.
Yeah. And you know, I really said that just to say, it was like at the end of it all, I had to look at that CD. Mm-hmm. So I popped it out, laid it down on the table, and then I showed the Jay-Z joint, the Rihanna joint, the Neo, the Chris Brown, the Whoop Wop, that are also all fighting for that same spot on the radio.
Yeah,
So this is your CD,
right,
versus this,
and you think the reason why you got it is because you're dope? It's not enough. It's not enough. You can be the best lyricist in your era. You can be all that stuff that you think matters. It all matters when you walk into that room, and even if you're a nice person with an amazing song, that doesn't guarantee you anything. So, but man, really appreciate you dropping these gems on the audience. I know that they appreciate it. Once again, Chris Laws, man, tell them once again how they can get a hold of you.
Yep, you can find me YouTube, Instagram, Snap, Twitter, Facebook. It's all Chris Los Media. I really do respond. It's really me. I find super excitement in being able to help somebody figure something out. I geek out off of that. So reach out, man. And Kurt, keep doing your thing on this channel, man. I love it.
Thank you. Once again, like I always say, this is Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Can I do that?
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead. Yup, that might have been too many times. That's all good.